Den appliances at discounted prices. Visit East Coast Appliance today and get the best price, or it's free.
This is advertising material.
Injured in an Uber or Lyft? Here's the problem. Was it the driver's fault? The other car? The app company? Good luck figuring that out while you're trying to heal. Alexander Schnarr Trial Attorneys, they've got a guy for rideshare accidents. And here's the best part. They don't get paid unless you do. You heal. They fight. One call, 877-222-6666. Or visit alexwins.law. Alexander Schnarr Trial Attorneys. Because rideshare accidents need an experienced team.
This is advertising material. Past results do not guarantee future outcomes. Every case is different. Philip George is licensed attorney in Virginia, is responsible for legal work. Office located in Norfolk.
Hi, I'm Tom Connors. Went to Mark Patrick's hypnosis seminar. It's 2019. Nothing worked before. Left there and never smoked again. Easy, affordable, and guaranteed. A year later, with my wife Michelle, attended Mark Patrick's weight loss seminar. She lost 18 pounds and I lost 43 in 8 weeks.
It's true. He smoked 2 packs a day and nothing worked until Mark Patrick Hypnosis. Now we're losing weight together, eating healthy, full on half the food, enjoying exercising. Who would have believed Mark Patrick Hypnosis really works?
It's amazing.
Lose weight or stop smoking with hypnosis. Only $59.99. Hypnosis designed to destroy unwanted cravings. That's right. Seminars Thursday, February 26th. Comfort Suites at Virginia Center Commons in Glen Allen. Weight loss hypnosis 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking hypnosis 8 p.m. Or Saturday, February 28th, Hilton Garden Inn in Colonial Heights. Weight loss hypnosis 11 a.m. Stop smoking hypnosis 2 p.m. Register at markpatrickseminars.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-399-9407 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive
your home for Richmond Spiders athletics all year round. W291CL Lakeside Richmond. WURV HD2 Richmond. We are 1061 ESPN. Richmond, it's time to get your morning going. Richmond Sports Talk by Richmond sports fans. This is Fitz the Bill with Jack Fitzpatrick.
From the capital of the Commonwealth,
where sharp analysis, your cause, and Richmond always come first. If it's making headlines locally or nationally, we're breaking it down. Now,
I'll take my time to South Beach.
Live from the capital of the Commonwealth, it's the Bill with your host, Jack Fitzpatrick.
Good Friday morning, February 13th. Appreciate you clocking in, getting your day started with us right here on 1061 ESPN Richmond and Fitz the Bill. Also on the ESPN Richmond app and ESPNRichmond.com. Also streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. If you want to watch the stream, just type in ESPN Richmond. We'll pop right on up and you can watch, you can like, comment, and subscribe to be part of it. And of course, you can be part of the show by calling in or texting in to the Radkey Insurance phone line. Get started on your free quote today, radkeyinsurance.com. And there's been a hot button topic swirling around the world of sports that I have been purposefully saving for Friday. It feels like a Friday topic, something to dive into to finish out the week. Throw a nice exclamation mark down on the end of the week. How to fix tanking in the NBA, right? So why has this all of a sudden come up? Because the real news around it all really started to percolate around Christmas. Around Christmas time, sources told ESPN that NBA is looking into ways to fix tanking. Some of the ideas that the sources told ESPN and Shams Charania: limit the legal protections on traded first-round picks to top 4 or 14 or above, theoretically then eliminating the incentive to tank down to a specific slot or try to lose when a play-in berth is at stake. I will say, again, the NBA, your way of trading is the most confusing thing in the world. I still don't fully get it, but that's besides the point. Another idea, no longer allowing teams to draft in the top 4 in consecutive seasons. And another idea, their third, was locking lottery positions after March 1. All of those ideas from the NBA have huge downsides. For the first one, limiting the legal protections. It'll drive down the amount of trades because protected picks become too rich. And what was the thing we were talking about during the week of the Super Bowl? We were talking about NBA trades and NBA trade rumors. If that goes down, overall interest in the league goes down. If you don't allow teams to draft in the top 4 in consecutive seasons, it'll incentivize the teams between number 5 and number 8 in the NBA draft to tank like crazy the next year because they know those top 4 teams are ineligible to pick in the top 4 the next year. So you really aren't solving any issues. And by locking lottery positions after March 1, what does that do? It just starts the tanks earlier. Simple as that. And a big question that is floating around tanking NBA. Why? Why is there tanking in the NBA, but there's no tanking really in the NFL, in NHL, in MLB? The top draft picks in the NBA, I mean, it's pretty simple, right? The top draft picks in the NBA are just that much more impactful than in other teams and in other leagues. Let's look at the NFL, for example, right? Brady was a late rounder. He's an all-time great. The GOAT. Mahomes, a fringe top 10 guy in the NFL draft. The second greatest of all time as it stands now. Number 1 picks. There's only been 3 number 1 picks that were quarterbacks that went on to win the Super Bowl with the team that drafted them. Peyton Manning, Troy Aikman, and Terry Bradshaw. It's actually pretty rare for that number 1 pick to be extremely, extremely impactful. Whereas in the NBA, it is such a player-reliant league that teams are willing to be sucky for a while to land the next potential LeBron, potential MJ, potential Kobe, or other franchise savior type players. It's like betting on parlays where you lose 10, lose 10, lose 10, lose 10, win 500, you just profited, right? That's what NBA teams try to do because that's what is at the end of the tunnel, potentially. And it brings us to the point. How do you fix tanking in the NBA? I'm excited to get Alan's idea on this. I've got an idea. I even went so far to use everyone's favorite thing right now, AI. I went to Mr. GPT to see if he or she or they could give me any insights as well. But my idea on how to fix tanking. Are you ready for this? Write this down because this is how it's going to happen. This is how you fix tanking. No more protected picks. You can't trade protected picks. A first rounder is a first rounder. You can't protect it in the top 4. You can't lottery protect it. You can't protect it in the top 8. No, if you're trading a first rounder, you're trading a first rounder. Because I feel when you have these protected picks, and we've seen it bear out with especially the Wizards this year, so much of the talk is, well, the Wizards have to be so bad so they keep their pick because if it lands in the top 4, then they get to keep it. If it lands outside the top 4, then they don't get to keep it. And if they don't get to keep it, then they're losing potentially a 5th, 6th, 7th draft pick or something like that. But if they get in the top 4, they keep their pick. So they're incentivized to be bad. It makes bad teams want to continue to be worse to keep their pick. So get rid of protected picks altogether. A first rounder is a first rounder. My second idea, get rid of the lottery. I believe the lottery is at the core of a lot of these issues because it incentivizes multiple teams to be bad because the worst team in the league, the second worst team in the league, and the third worst team in the league all have equal odds to getting that first overall draft pick. They all have a 14% chance to win the lottery. The fourth worst team has a 12.5% chance to win the lottery, and the fifth worst team has a 10.5% chance to win the lottery. So the difference between the worst team in the league and the fifth worst team in the league in terms of chances to get the number 1 overall pick is what? 3.5 percentage points? Not all that much. And so you can be a bad team. You're okay with tanking. You're okay with tanking because if you're one of the 5 worst teams in the NBA, you have a pretty good shot at winning the number 1 overall pick. And then to kind of build on that a little further, if you get rid of the lottery, only one team gets the best pick, and it's the worst team. And typically the worst team, at least since they've expanded the draft lottery, typically the worst team in the NBA does not get the number 1 pick. So get rid of the draft lottery. I don't want it. Get rid of the play-in as well. Go back to the way it was. I don't think the play-in is having the type of impact the NBA wants for it to have, because what's the worst thing in the NBA? The worst thing in the NBA is being mediocre. You either want to be a championship caliber team or you want to be tanking so you can get a number one pick or a high draft pick so you could maybe get the savior of your franchise. The play-in just rewards being mediocre, and it exacerbates the problem because you can't make the playoffs and be in the lottery. So say you're the 10 seed, you sneak into the play-in. Why would you try to win that play-in tournament to then make the playoffs, lose out on your lottery spot, and then get swept in the process in the first round of the NBA playoffs? Why do that when you could just lose and get a shot at the number one overall pick? I think you got to get rid of the play-in. It really makes teams ask themselves, do we suck for the next 5 years or do we be mediocre for the next 15? So get rid of the draft lottery, get rid of the play-in, and don't allow teams to trade protected picks anymore. All picks unprotected. And I've got an off-the-wall idea as well. Something a little crazy. Keep the draft order based on record, worst to best, but instead of teams picking players, the top prospects choose which team they want to play for in order.
Are you doing too much?
I know this one's a little crazy, but in theory, you say you're the top prospect. You can choose between the 5 worst teams. If you're number 2, you pick then from whoever's left, so on and so forth. So the 5th overall prospect then gets the 5th worst team in theory. But this would essentially reward teams that actually have good front offices who just so happen to be one of the worst teams. So it rewards kind of a team that's actually put together well, because if you're a number 1 prospect, you don't want to go to a team that's barren because they just finished their tank. It might be able to mitigate a little bit. It's something crazy. I understand it, but I do think the NBA really needs to do something here, Alan, to try and mitigate what the draft lot or what the tanking has done to the league.
Yeah, I am just utterly disgusted some nights I watch the NBA.
It literally maybe not half of the league, but at least a third of the league is actively tanking. The Jazz shut down Jaren Jackson Jr. yesterday.
Yeah. And they're
not even hiding, and they got fined.
Yeah, they got fined.
$500,000 when we're a multi-billion-dollar corporation. Oh, what? Come on, NBA.
It's just strange because like even baseball has obviously a long season, and we know teams are not good, and we know some teams will lose, not necessarily intentionally, but they're just not good. They're not able to win games, but they compete. Like that's the thing. Like when you're tanking in the NBA, there are plenty of nights I can watch, and you can physically tell these guys not trying. The Jazz the other night, did you see that game?
No,
they were up like 20 or something like that,
and then they like bench their players.
Yeah, and then they just sat everybody.
Well, that's the thing. Like I think in the NBA, it's such an institutional problem. Where in MLB, every player is trying to win because they're trying to put something good on film, so that when they hit free, whatever it is, and even the players that are on the court in NBA games are trying their hardest. But front offices and the institution has kind of made it where the players that the coaches have available all suck.
Yeah.
And I get it. The worst player in the NBA is much closer to LeBron James in terms of physical ability than I am. But in the grand scheme of it all, these teams are putting together teams that suck. Like the Jazz deciding, Jaren Jackson, you're bench for the rest of the season. That's them being like, we don't really care.
And you could like visibly tell like he was not happy about it.
Yeah.
Like when they sat him in that
players want to play.
Yeah.
Players want to play.
So I agree with you on the protected picks thing. I do think that needs to be changed and modified. They're the only league that does that.
It just feels like the Wizards, you hear them all the time talk, or at least their fans talk about all the time. Like, well, we got to stink this year so we keep our draft pick.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you're now incentivized to lose. And you never want to incentivize losing.
And the biggest issue I have is that they somehow were still able to sell this product with higher TV rights. I mean, just lets you know people just, I think some fans care, but I think as a brand, the NFL, NBA, MLB, they are so ingrained in our everyday lives that even when we see stuff that's unacceptable, they'll still make money and we'll still tune in.
Exactly.
I don't know how to break that. I mean, obviously, I don't want to flip to like Netflix when there's like Lakers Celtics still, and it's 2024 and the 2026 and the Lakers are terrible. I know I tried to go back to a year where they were both good, but the Lakers are kind of terrible at times, and the Celtics are a good team. I'm still going to tune in, but I think it starts at the front office at the top, Silver, which, we don't have a lot of faith in him, but they're going to have to make changes there. And then the teams and organizations, the owners, like, you got to come together and kind of get this like fixed.
So I don't agree here with Mr. GPT's idea fully, but he does have a couple. I like how I've made it Mr. Chat GPT a he. But ChatGPT, I threw this into him. Whatever. I don't want to over personify AI here, but it was a funny little question. Throw it to AI, see what it puts out, because AI, it's reading everything. It knows everything that people are saying out there on the interwebs. So it kind of compiled what it's hearing. And ChatGPT gave me, I think, 4 different ways to help tanking. One of them, which is so funny, it'll never happen, but it's funny. The post-elimination tournament draft system. So once your team is mathematically eliminated from playoff contention, their record resets to 0-0. All eliminated teams then compete in a draft tournament. So then the best record among eliminated teams gets the best lottery odds, and the worst record among eliminated teams would get the worst lottery odds.
I kind of like that idea, but it would never happen.
The tough thing about that is all these teams are getting mathematically eliminated at different points.
Well, why don't we make that the play-in tournament then? The tournament?
So I think that's maybe not where it goes, because this, of course, would never happen. But like the 10 worst teams play in the number 1 pick tournament. And instead of the play-in, the top 7 teams make it in each conference. And then the bottom of both conferences play against each other. Winner of that conference tournament wins the number 1 pick.
And where you finish is where you place.
Yeah, exactly. I think that'd be fun. Of course, it would never happen, because the tough thing would be like, okay, you're playing to draft your replacement. And players would be like, what if I just stink? Like, then that incentivizes players to then not play well. So number 2, I highly disagree with this one, because my own idea was eliminate the lottery altogether. ChatGPT suggested flattening the lottery even more. Back in around COVID times, I believe it was, they flattened the lottery so that the top 3 or 4 teams all get equal odds. The top 3 teams all are at 14%. The 4th gets a 12.5% chance to get the number 1 overall pick. ChatGPT suggested that all the bottom 8 teams all get equal odds. So there's no advantage at being the absolute worst, because then the worst 8 teams all have the same chance of getting the number 1 overall pick. I don't think that one would work. Again, I think you should get rid of the lottery altogether, because you're incentivizing being either the worst team or the 10th worst team. You're essentially given the same chance of landing the number 1 overall pick. So a team can see that and go, well, we can start tanking now, be a top 10, I guess, bottom 10. You got to.
That sounds like Chat GPT's assuming that the lottery is legit.
Yeah, that too. I'm looking at you, Mavericks. But like, flatten the lottery even more. I think get rid of the lottery altogether. The worst team gets the number 1 pick. The second worst team gets the second overall pick. And then you go on from there. I think the lottery incentivizes teams to race to the bottom, but then you don't have to be the worst. So, because it's tough to be the worst. I think that's something the NFL has in its favor. One, it's the NFL, and it's a bunch of macho guys who will never refuse to lose. Just look at Brian Flores.
Look at Max Crosby.
Like look at all of them. Max Crosby wants to be on a horrible team. But like, 1 win. The Giants this last year, they had 1 win, and they went from the number 1 pick to the 5th overall pick. So like, when you have it like that, it's just so much more difficult to actually get the number 1 overall pick in a weird backwards way.
And don't get me wrong, I have advocated for tanking in the NFL, but that's usually around like week 15.
Yeah.
It's not 20 games into the season.
Another one, cap multi-year top 3 picks. So ChatGPT suggests that if a team lands in the top 3 2 years in a row, they become ineligible for a top 3 pick the next year. I don't like doing that, because then all of a sudden you are shrinking the amount of teams that can get the number 1 overall pick, which means teams in that shrunken kind of bubble will race even harder to stink that next year. So I don't like that. This one I like. Tie revenue share to competitiveness. So the more competitive you are, the better your team is, the more revenue share that you get. So if you're running a bottom 5 payroll and your team stinks year over year, they don't get as much money.
I don't know. I don't know if that's going to work with the owners either.
Oh, the owners would never agree to getting less money, but just that one would work. But of course, that one would never happen.
What if we just stop fostering an environment where it's okay to be lazy and loaf? Like, I mean, this is just like tanking has always been in the NBA, but it's never been this grossly blatant and never been this kind of an issue until we got into this era where people just don't play hard. They really don't.
No one cares about the regular season. And the solution to that, how do you care about the regular season, is such a difficult, nuanced question. But you look at the league right now. The Nets are actively tanking. The Pacers are actively tanking. And the Washington Wizards are actively tanking. The Utah Jazz actively tanking. I don't think the Pelicans are. I think the Pelicans just stink.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for them. And the Kings are 12-44. You've got to be
the
actively
Pacers are
tanking.
Actively tanking unless they're playing the Knicks.
That's true.
That's the caveat there.
But like, that's 5 or 6 teams we just named that are actively tanking. That's not good for the league. That is horrible for the league. It's bad to have one. And the process and everything like that with the Sixers, with what they were doing, like that was a whole branded thing they were doing to stink for multiple years. Trust the process. We're going to be bad for the next 3 years, and then we'll get a good pick, and then we'll be great.
Well, the thing that saves them is that Embiid stayed hurt, so they kind of...
Well, yeah, but like what I'm saying is like you had a general manager at press conferences being like, trust the process. And the league's like, we have no issue here. Like the second the GM is coming out at a press conference, in the case of the Sixers, and he's like, trust the process, fine him. Like that's not, you should not be talking openly about tanking. But I want to hear your thoughts. Text in or call in to the Radke Insurance phone line, 804-327-0888. And how would you fix the NBA tanking problem? Or if you don't even think there's a tanking problem in the NBA, let us know. 804-327-0888. Radke Insurance phone line. Head to radkeyinsurance.com to get started on your free quote today. Coming up on today's show, we've got a great second hour. We've got 2 NASCAR guests to help preview the Daytona 500 this Sunday. Pat Jaggers from the Motor Racing Network. He makes his triumphant return at 9:05. Travis Peterson, the crew chief for the number 71 Spire Chevy with Michael McDowell. He'll be stopping by at around 9:45 to chat about his pre-race preparations. And Chris Mooney, he'll stop by at about 9:15 to chat about the Spiders' upcoming game against VCU, a little Valentine's Day showdown between the crosstown rivals. So we'll get Chris Mooney's thoughts about the upcoming game and what his team needs to do following that impressive win against Mason. How can they keep that momentum going? Let's also update you with some other things that have happened around the wide world of sports.
This is your Fitz the Bill morning update. Getting you caught up on some of the biggest stories in sports.
All right, big news coming out of college football yesterday. Trinidad Chambliss, Ole Miss's star quarterback, was granted an extra year of eligibility by a state court judge. The judge issued an injunction that will allow Chambliss to play in 2026. Judge Robert Whitwell detailed that the NCAA ignored medical evidence in denying Chambliss's waiver, and the quarterback would suffer irreparable harm if denied this year. In college basketball, the Tar Heels announced yesterday that Caleb Wilson suffered a fractured hand earlier this week against Miami. Wilson will be out indefinitely. Wilson is a projected top 5 pick in the upcoming NBA draft. He's currently averaging just a shade under 20 points per game with 9.4 rebounds per game. This weekend in college basketball and A-10 action, Richmond hosts VCU in a Valentine's Day rivalry showdown. Coverage begins at 6:30 p.m. right here on ESPN Richmond. Tip-off is slated for 7 p.m. Richmond men's basketball head coach Chris Mooney will stop by an hour or two at about 1:15 to chat about the game. Heading over to the association, we had 3 games in action last night. The Bucks, that's right, the Bucks went to OKC and beat the Thunder 110-93. The Trailblazers beat the Jazz 135-119. Donovan Clingan, I haven't heard that name in a while. 23 points, 18 rebounds for the Blazers. And the Lakers got a 124-104 win over the Dallas Mavericks. In that win, LeBron was absolutely in his bag, scoring or assisting on the team's first 23 points. He finished with 28 points, 12 assists, 10 rebounds. He became the oldest player in NBA history to notch a triple-double. The NBA also yesterday fined the Utah Jazz and the Indiana Pacers. The Jazz, $500,000. The Pacers, $100,000, with the league saying both teams sat healthy players in recent games while noting that moves that compromise its integrity won't be tolerated. So the NBA trying to do something about tanking. I don't think a $500,000 fine really impacts much, but hey, they're trying at least. Good for them. Good for them. All right, we've got a great show coming up. There was a little, one of my favorite things around NFL films after the Super Bowl. They kind of purposely release certain little videos throughout. One of them was the Patriots defense, Christian Barmore and Milton Williams, talking near the end of the game. Christian Barmore was nearly inconsolable. Milton Williams kind of had to talk him down. But I don't love the vibes coming out of New England. We'll talk about that. We want to hear your thoughts about how to fix NBA tanking. 804-327-0888. Get your thoughts in on the Radkey Insurance phone line. More Fitz the Bill coming up on this Friday morning.
Weather reports on 106.1 ESPN Richmond, brought to you by Herman Allen Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, a premier Lennox dealer. Online at hermanallenplumbing.com.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. And now, during our President's Day sale, take 50% off our limited edition bed, plus free premium delivery with any bed and base. Ends Monday. Only at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com.
This is advertising material. Hi, this is John from your insurance company. We received your claim and we're denying your coverage.
They think you'll give up. They're wrong. Alexander Schnarr trial attorneys have made insurance companies pay over $2 billion. It's your turn. They fight while you heal. Over 250,000 clients. Alexander Schnarr trial attorneys. Call now for a free consultation. 877-222-6666 or alexwins.law.
Past results do not guarantee future outcomes. Every case is different. Phil George's licensed attorney in Virginia is responsible for legal work. Office is located at 500 East Main Street, Suite 1600-113, Norfolk, Virginia, 23510.
The Rich Eisen Show. Fresh off of 11 tackles in Super Bowl 60, Ernest Jones. At which point did you look at your phone and feel the need to call Puka Nacua a goofy ass?
So I get on my phone and people are texting me, telling me congratulations. And this pops up and I'm the ultimate teammate. Don't say nothing about my guys, like I said. So of course I had to respond.
The Rich Eisen Show from noon to 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio, ESPN Plus, and on Disney Plus. This is Freddie and Harry on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
You don't have a villain as constituted in the NBA. You have a team and a culture that wants to embrace being villains. Whatever new bad boys you want to call them, Detroit Pistons, they're embracing the toughness of the city. They don't mind wearing the black hat, HD. They're representing Detroit the way they know Detroit wants to be represented.
Check out more from Freddie and Harry weekdays at 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
1061 ESPN traffic.
We have an accident on Hopkins Road near Corbridge Road. Taking a look at 64 eastbound, we're seeing some delays between Staples Mill Road and Bryant Park Interchange, as well as heading westbound between Mechanicsville Turnpike and 95. And for those of you heading south on 95, you can expect some delays between Bryant Park Interchange and Arthur Ashe Boulevard.
Coming up on the Friday edition of Border to Border, we'll get you set for VCU Richmond Round 2 at the Robins Center on Saturday as the Rams' Jadrian Tracy joins the show. And we'll close the book on the football seasons with VSiN's Tim Murray, 4 until 6, 1061 ESPN.
Golfers, if you're chasing that perfect mix of distance, feel, and control without emptying your wallet, it's time to level up with Birdie golf balls. That's B1RD1E. These things deliver distance that dominates, right in line with the big name brands you already know. But here's the kicker. You're getting it at a price that actually makes sense. Check it out for yourself. birdiegolf.com. Make the eyes ones and you'll be there. Premium performance, honest price. Don't just play golf, play smarter. Play Birdie. That's B1RD1E golf.com. So yesterday, NFL Films, shout out NFL Films, because the way that they just kind of have a little drip down the faucet throughout the week of what they release, what they don't release. Yesterday, it came out, a clip from the sidelines, Christian Barmore, Milton Williams, talking things out as the Seahawks were set to win Super Bowl 60. Christian Barmore seemed a little beside himself. This is what NFL Films captured on the sidelines.
Good, baby. Come on. You good, I know. Now that boy, it wasn't us, man. It's gonna sting for a little bit. It wasn't us, man. It wasn't us. Sure, it was us. Now we just gotta build on next year, bro. Keep getting better and better.
So if you didn't catch what Christian Barmore said, he said, it wasn't us, bro. It wasn't us, man. It wasn't us, twin. It wasn't us, bro. It wasn't us, twin. I could only take that one way when it comes to, because look, the New England Patriots defense played a wonderful game. That game was still close heading into the fourth quarter because of the Patriots defense. They did an exceptional job at keeping the Seahawks offense under wraps, and the defense of the Patriots gave their offense plenty of opportunities to try and come back and get back into the game. I mean, it was 12-0 heading into the fourth quarter. At that point, the Seattle Seahawks had tripled the amount of yards that the Patriots had. There was a point where I think Drake May had 8 completions and he had been sacked 5 times. So I get it. But man, Mike Vrabel's going to have his hands full this offseason. Christian Barmore over here wasn't us. It wasn't us. You're going to have a tough offseason trying to repair the damages that are caused by losing a Super Bowl. I mean, I was talking with Amani Toomer, and you can hear this on his podcast, Standing on Business. But Amani Toomer was talking about how the first Super Bowl loss that he experienced against the New York Giants, or I guess against the Baltimore Ravens when Amani was with the New York Giants, he said it was one of the worst, if not the worst loss he ever experienced. It was so bad, as a matter of fact, that when the Giants beat the Green Bay Packers to go back to the Super Bowl, remember that play? Lawrence Tynes kicked the game winner in Green Bay in negative temperatures. That set up the showdown for the Giants with the undefeated, at the time, New England Patriots. Giants win in as massive underdogs. They end up coming away with the win. But Amani said that first Super Bowl loss to the Ravens made it where when Lawrence Tynes kicked the game-winning field goal in Green Bay, Amani's first reaction was, man, we got to go back to the Super Bowl. I don't want to go back to the Super Bowl, because that's how damaging a Super Bowl loss is. And for the Patriots, they've really got to work on making sure that the team doesn't kind of come apart. And I know I always bring up the Seahawks, but it's another good case study in this one, because the Seahawks dynasty, the D word that I hate to use, the dynasty back in 2013, 2014, fell apart because of the Super Bowl loss to the Patriots. So with Christian Barmore being caught on the sideline, and I know, heat of the moment, the emotions are high, but it wasn't us, bro. It wasn't us, man. It wasn't us. It wasn't us. It wasn't us. That he's not wrong. I'll say that. He's not wrong. The defense did everything they could. But you got to be careful with that type of mentality heading into the offseason, and you can't have that negativity and that toxicity seeping into your locker room. Barmore, you can have that thought in the moment, but you got to quickly rinse it, and that's a team loss. You move on. You can't let this kind of derail your entire chances moving forward, because you've got a lot of work to do next year. Next year, you're going to have to go through what I presume will be a healthy Patrick Mahomes with I presume a healthy Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. You're going to have a much more difficult path. You're now going to have to play the schedule of what a number 2 seed in the AFC will have to play. You won't get a historically bad schedule. The playoffs won't break in a historically great way. And in order to get back to this point, you're going to have to stick together as a team. And Barmore, he is a pillar of this New England Patriots team. And him saying it wasn't us, it wasn't us, it wasn't us. I get it in the moment, but Vrabel, you're going to have to do a lot of work to make sure that type of negativity doesn't seep into the locker room.
I mean, I would assume it's easier to do that with adults than say high school and stuff like that. But it's one of the things we don't talk about as athletes, as fans in general. In order for somebody to win, somebody's got to lose.
Yeah.
And if that loss breaks you, then you're just not built for what you're doing, right? Like, adversity is part of the game, man. Like, nobody comes in and wins every single time. But even our GOATs have significant losses along the way. So with that being said, in the moment, especially with the passion and effort that you put into the Super Bowl, I would give him a pass. But if we're 24, 48 hours removed, we've watched film, we've processed. If I hear that crap come training camp, I'm kicking you in the butt.
Yeah.
We can't have it then.
Yeah.
But in that moment, I could only imagine that's the passion you kind of want to see. You want to see that people care. And in the same breath, I'm sure Drake May felt terrible, absolutely terrible,
because he knew he let the team down.
Yeah. So there's two sides to it, and I thought Milton was giving him the right message.
Yeah.
Like, we're good. Like, this is just something we'll have to overcome.
Yeah.
Work harder, etc. Because was he part of the Eagles losing Super Bowl team, or was he just part of the winning?
I think he was just part of their winning Super
Okay.
Bowl team. I think he's a relatively young guy.
Okay, yeah, he is relatively young. I just wasn't sure if he'd gotten in that window, but I think that was a good message for him. He's seen the highest of highs and clearly now have seen the lowest of lows. But I would anticipate the way the Patriots operated this year, Mike Vrabel and those guys won't have to address that come training camp.
Yeah. He actually was. Mel Williams was on the team that lost the Super Bowl.
Well, then he definitely
Then
knows.
he knows it all.
Yeah.
Wow, I did not realize he was drafted in 2021.
All right. I knew he was relatively young, but I wasn't sure if he had gotten in that early window.
Yeah. So early. That was his second year in the league. So
Okay.
he knows it all too well. And to kind of expand on the Amani Toomer story that I shared, Amani Toomer did then go on to lead the Giants in receiving in that Super Bowl. So while his first reaction is, oh crap, then a good professional football player then locks in and has a great game. So the loss is hurt. The loss is hurt, and it's going to hurt Christian Barmore. But who knows? Maybe he uses it as kind of a fuel to the fire to then go on and in the next Super Bowl the Patriots play. And if they ever get back there, he has 3 sacks and balls out.
Yeah, like we talked about, like Tom Brady, alpha nut, man. Like, he probably wants that 10 times over.
Yes.
And then there's others who, like Amani, processing, realizing that feeling hurts so much. I can see where getting back could bring you some dread, especially when
it's like PTSD almost.
when you're facing the freaking 18-0 Patriots and the other Patriot team. I would imagine if I get back to a Super Bowl, this is not who I want to play.
Right. Ah, man, not only are we back, but we get the Patriots.
Yeah.
They won,
But
so
they won.
we got the last laugh. All right, let's get a break in here. We'll step aside. News or Snooze is coming up on the other side of the break. You're listening to Fitz the Bill on 106.1 ESPN Richmond.
It's the grand opening of RVA's newest destination, West Gary Sports Bar, located in the heart of the Fan District. A perfect spot to meet your friends, to catch a game on dozens of high-def TVs, enjoy the old-school arcade games, play football, or take a ride in the racing simulator. The chef-inspired menu features classic bar favorites, plus specialty international dishes. Open for lunch and dinner at the corner of Cary and Robinson Street. Stop by today at the new West Gary Sports Bar, online at westgarysportsbarrva.com.
Build your team, build it sooner. Need your match on ZipRecruiter.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You need someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now you can meet them fast on ZipRecruiter.
Need to hire right away. Start your search for strong candidates. The right fit awaits. All your roles, fill them sooner. Need your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free, and you're on your way to meeting your match. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. So try it now. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Need your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
1061 ESPN on-air interviews presented by the Herman Allen Plumbing Heating and Cooling Hotline with Lennox products that make the air in your home absolutely perfect.
My name is Christina Martini, and I attended the Mark Patrick seminar. And because of the seminar, I lost over 27 pounds in a course of about 4 months.
Hypnosis only $59.99. Thursday, February 26th at the Comfort Suites at Virginia Center Commons in Glen Allen. Weight loss hypnosis 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking at 8. Or Saturday, February 28th, Hilton Garden Inn in Colonial Heights. Weight loss hypnosis 11 a.m. Stop smoking hypnosis at 2. Register at markpatrickseminars.com.
If you owe money to the IRS, they'll come after you until you are flat broke. Don't just roll over and take it. The IRS has changed. If you owe more than $10,000, you may be eligible for a huge break, as much as 87%. Haven't filed a return for years? It's time for Guardian Tax. Their happy clients are celebrating.
The IRS was going to levy my bank account, but Guardian was able to prevent that and fix all my IRS issues. Thanks again, Guardian Tax.
Is tax debt ruining your life? The IRS now has special programs. Guardian Tax understands how the IRS works. Personal or business, this is the fresh start you've been praying for. You're scared of the IRS, and for good reason. Guardian Tax is the company that wins when you need it most.
Guardian Tax Service is really great to work with. They really help me out. I'd recommend them highly.
Visit GuardianTax.com or call now for a free confidential consultation. 800-505-7915. 800-505-7915. Once again, that's 800-505-7915.
Hi, Leif Erikson for SnowCountry.com. Eggland's Best, the only eggs with more fresh and delicious taste, plus superior nutrition. Eggland's Best, better taste, better nutrition, better eggs. It will feel great to be outdoors heading into this long President's Day weekend, especially coming off some of the colder weather we experienced. And colder weather, those preserve this excellent snowpack that we've been riding all season long. Groomers will be on top of things, giving you a smooth layer of corduroy every day. We'll see that snow softening up as we get to lunchtime at spots like Massanutten with 23 trails 100% open, plus 11 dozen tubing lanes ready to roll for the weekend too at Massanutten. Bryce Resort has all 12 trails in play, well covered from side to side, with the Homestead, a classic setting on 6 runs. Wintergreen, from the steeps and cruisers to the parks, all 27 trails available this weekend, with night skiing tonight until 9. Blue Knob, Pennsylvania, with 18 runs for all abilities. Get more ski conditions at snowcountry.com. I'm Leif Erikson for 106.1 ESPN Richmond.
106.1 ESPN weather.
It is currently 22 degrees and sunny, with a slight breeze coming in from the northwest, averaging from 1 to 2 miles per hour. We're expecting mostly sunny skies today, with a high reaching 47 degrees and lows dropping down tonight to 28. Temperatures will be warming up tomorrow, with mostly sunny skies and a high of 61, followed by rainfall pushing in on Sunday.
Every headline sounds different when you explain what it actually means. That's the Sports Huddle with Matt and Bob, weekdays 4 to 6 on 106.1 ESPN Richmond.
News or snooze.
All right, news or snooze this morning is quite interesting here. It just says Joe Judge. Is that the headline?
That's the headline, because did you hear what this man said yesterday?
I saw it in print or some of it, but I didn't fully read it.
This is what Joe Judge said yesterday, and this is why the headline is just Joe Judge.
You have to educate. This is always a tough conversation to have. It's not even a popular thing. This is the truth. We would have to educate significant others who may have been pregnant during the season. We're going to have a baby during the season. And you have to educate them on, you have this baby in the middle of the season. That father has to play good football. I mean, it's a day-by-day production business. He has to be ready to perform and go out there and play. And when I say that is, you need to let him sleep. He needs to be in another room, attached. You have to explain to the mother, like, hey, listen, he ain't waking up for midnight meetings. After the season, he's full metal jacket. You do whatever you want with him. He can change every diaper. But in season, he's got to have different priorities. Now,
what?
That was said.
We need a new button. That's not snooze or newsworthy. That's what? I'm going to download the Westbrook. What? Or that? What?
That is from the court hearing on
man.
the Trinidad Chambliss case. They used Joe Judge as a witness to bring up, to explain to.
Who called him as a witness? You need to be fired.
So they used the reason he was up there, which is adds to the craziness of all this. They wanted Joe Judge to explain how missing out on this year, one, impacts his NIL and his money-making opportunities. But if he has another good year, he could then vault up the draft boards, right, and be one of the top quarterbacks next year.
That didn't sound like.
And Joe Judge was called to explain how, if they take away this opportunity for him, it will cause irreparable harm to his future money-making opportunities by playing in the NFL. Somehow, they get on that if you are a significant other in the season, pregnant or having a child, that you need to essentially be a single parent for the football season.
That's not how it works.
Because he needs sleep.
That is absolutely not how it works.
Guess who had a baby this season, in season, for the Seattle Seahawks? Mike McDonald.
Yeah, I mean, anybody. That's just not how it works, man.
So, yes, the headline is Joe Judge.
See, you know what it is? And man, I might offend somebody with this, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Uh-oh.
Special team coaches always overdo things, man. They're always the most like crazy of the crazies. Like, you got your head coaches, your offensive coordinators, your defensive coordinators, but it's always special teams and position coaches that are like, we're going to break ankles and not like the Dan Campbell. We're going to chomp them at the ankles
we're
and
gonna
stuff.
bite their kneecap.
Yeah, like that. Like, it's always somebody just doing too much. That is not a proper representation of how demanding football is. I know it is demanding, and I've made comments that there are sacrifices I would definitely make in order to win and compete. But if my wife or anybody had a baby and that baby is my responsibility, I will be up helping. Like, that's how it works, man.
It's just also and it's Joe Judge, and he's the craziest guy. But his like monotone deadpan where he's like, yeah, I mean, this is just how it is. If
Could
you
you
have
imagine
a kid
how that conversation goes when you talking to a woman that just had a baby?
I don't talk to women, so.
Or on like the hormones that go into that. Like, that's not going to go over well for you, buddy. I'm glad you're trying to have that conversation.
Yeah, hey, just so you know, I'm not able to do anything with you. So
yeah, and if I'm the player and he leaves, baby, that's coach. I ain't got nothing to do with that.
All right, what's the next one?
Yeah, we're not even gonna hit a button on that. That was ridiculous.
What?
Kyle Tucker's Dodgers contract might have been the final blow for labor peace.
Newsworthy. So Jeff Passan of ESPN.
I have a question.
Yeah,
real quick question. Why Kyle Tucker? It wasn't the deferred $2 billion of Shohei Ohtani? Is Kyle Tucker?
I think Kyle Tucker, you know what the saying is, the straw that broke the camel's back.
Man, I'm not even gonna make that reference. Just know there was something heavier hitting them when Shohei Ohtani got a deferred contract.
Well, yeah, that should have been the eye opener. I guess that was when they like their ears perked up and they're like, wait a second.
Ridiculous.
Who are you? And then, well, have you seen what Kyle Tucker's salary is for this season with the Dodgers?
I have not.
$1 million.
$1 million. That makes sense.
Guess what it is for next year? And then the 2 remaining years that he can opt into.
What is it?
$55 million next year, $60 million, $60 million.
Yeah. Have you seen their lineup? Shohei, Kyle, Mookie, Freddie, Will Smith, Muncy, Teoscar. That's their top 7.
And then they deferred money The Dodgers have deferred money in the Kyle Tucker contract, $3 million every year in deferred money from 2036 to 2045.
I just don't understand how that's like something that is allowed. I didn't like it back when the Nationals did it with Scherzer. I didn't like it then. Obviously wasn't old enough to have an opinion per se with Darryl Strawberry, but that's ridiculous too.
Well, yeah, and then even like Bobby Bonilla, who's getting like $1 million.
Yeah, Bobby Bonilla, Darryl Strawberry was in the mix, but Bobby Bonilla was really bad.
The NBA's got a tanking issue. MLB's got a payroll issue.
Yeah.
And this was the straw that broke the camel's back. Jeff Passan wrote where this contract made owners angry, and it's made players angry, and it's made fans angry. Owners are angry because their franchise valuations aren't growing as quickly as their billionaire peer. This is from Jeff Passan's article. As quickly as their billionaire peers in other sports, they blame the system that governs Major League Baseball. They don't like it. Nearly every owner believes MLB needs a salary cap. They believe if they get a salary cap, then their valuations will improve.
I mean,
I
guess
maybe.
Yeah, I think the issue with MLB and why it doesn't grow as much is because they don't have any reason to sell $8,000 tickets.
They can't.
Yeah, like it makes no sense, right?
Their biggest strength is also their biggest weakness.
Yeah.
It's you have 162 games. What? Then that's 81 games at home. How are you expected to sell a suite when your demand, when your supply is so high?
It's a cheaper product for viewing and for and to play. But deferred payments, I guess the logic there is that if we get a cap and everybody's like got to only pay a certain amount, then we'll get more money on the back end. But I don't think it works like that.
I can't wait to see that the Dodgers in like the year 2040, that their deferred money contracts outweigh their current payroll.
Also not mentioned by the owners, your business model sucks. Everybody else got a great TV deal.
Yeah.
MLB can't.
I got RSNs or regional sports networks who aren't paying like.
We're an ESPN affiliate, and it's no disrespect, but this is the business. They didn't even want to air baseball games after this year. I think they switched it to NBA. NBA got the baseball contract basically.
It's idiotic, man.
It is.
It's so bad.
And it's unfortunate because I like baseball.
And fans are mad because this signals that a lockout is likely coming.
1,000%.
The owners are mad, and then the players are mad because they see some teams, investing all this money. The players feel that a cap is coming and that there's going to be a labor lockout. And so no one's really happy. And Kyle Tucker, you're right. Should this have been raised a year or two ago when Shohei signed $1 billion contract with all the money deferred into 2082? Probably. But then Kyle Tucker's contract this offseason, the way they set it up was just the absolute last straw. I mean, you sign him to a 4-year deal. The final 2 years of the deal are opt-outs. This year, he's only $1 million against your payroll, and then it jumps up to $55 million. You've got all this deferred money. But here's the thing, and this is where I get a little upset at the owners. They are all billionaires. They all could do this. You all could go out and put together a group like the Dodgers have. The Dodgers have put together a fantastic ownership group so that they can afford this. The Mets are able to do all of this because Steve Cohen, a lifelong fan, is a billionaire. You're telling me the Pittsburgh Pirates can't sell shares of their team to other billionaires who want to win baseball games? Literally one of the best investments in this country, not real estate, not the stock market. No, it's buying a team. And unfortunately for Alan and I, we just don't have the funds to go out and buy the Seattle Seahawks for $11 billion. If you're a billionaire listener,
tank the Seahawks so quickly.
You say that, then you see the return on investment. If you're a billionaire listener out there listening, look, I can pony up maybe $1,000, probably Alan, something similar. So if you could help us out with the remaining 10.998 billion, we're more than happy to go halvesies.
See, you said pony up. I'm actually looking to get in on some of those horse ownership groups.
Oh yeah, you could pull a Mara. The Mara family bought the Giants because of horse racing.
Yeah,
they just had a big day at the track. I mean, maybe that's what we do.
Help me out, Colonial.
We put it all on the biggest long shot at the Virginia Derby.
Hey, for real,
and it hits, and then boom, baby.
Virginia bred, you got me.
There you go.
North Carolina hoop star Caleb Wilson out with fractured hand.
Newsworthy.
That's a bummer. Hey, listen,
I don't know.
He said it wasn't that big of a deal. He'll be back.
Okay.
That's what he said.
Yeah, sure.
The power of youth.
Sure. A fractured hand. Look, it's tough for Caleb Wilson. He probably wants to come back. He does want to come back. That's what he said yesterday. But at the same time, if you're the trainers, if you're all of that, you've got to keep his best interest in mind long term. He's a top 5 projected draft pick in the upcoming NBA draft. He's supposed to be fantastic at the next level. Do you want to risk that for a potential national championship run? I don't even know if UNC is a national championship caliber team. But for the Tar Heels, that is a huge loss for them.
I mean, if the brand of North Carolina, if I'm North Carolina, absolutely. Like, it means more for us to have success. He's going to automatically have success at the next level just because he's already been projected to be a top 5 pick. That ain't going to change. But I can tell you what will change if Hubie don't get it together. If they have a poor showing in March, there could be a coaching change.
You think that's on the table?
I think, yeah, if they go in and they look as bad in the tournament as they did last year, remember, it was such a struggle last year, and they're missing their
barely got in last year.
Yeah, and then they got embarrassed the second game, right? The first game they won, but the second game, once they hit an actual good team,
a real team,
yeah, they got embarrassed. So
they were a first 4 team. They beat San Diego State, then Ole Miss just absolutely took them to the woodshed.
So I mean, I wouldn't risk it. I really think at one point this season, conference play saved them. The win against UVA and everything kind of turned it around for them. But if they lost to UVA because they were already having some really poor showings, yeah, I don't think it would be good for Coach Davis down there. So
yeah, and
if Caleb can play, they got to bring him back.
Will be a fascinating game on Valentine's Day against Pitt. First game without Caleb Wilson. See how that goes.
All right. Well, let's be honest here. You should be beating Pitt even without him.
I mean, yeah, you should be. But how does your team look without it? Like that?
This is a team that you're right. I need
you
to
lost
take it back.
and I know Miami's like a good team, but you lost to Miami, and they were unranked at the time. Now you're trying to build off the Duke upset win.
I will say everything you see with Caleb Wilson, AJ Boozer, like when he plays the kid from Kansas, they are legit.
Yeah,
they are absolutely.
They're all going to be good when Darren Peterson plays. He's good for Kansas.
Caleb Wilson is the best player I've watched in person in quite some time, and so I can't wait to see Boozer in a couple weeks down in Charlotte.
Yeah.
So they're all legit. So don't downplay the impact. It's definitely going to hurt.
Yeah, and tough for them.
Yeah,
tough for them. I mean, when that news came out, I think all UNC fans let out a collective groan. We may have all heard it yesterday at about 3 p.m.
Although I'm pretty sure the rest of the ACC is like, oh, boo hoo hoo.
Yeah. Oh no. Oh, UNC, you poor
good
guy.
For them. Good for them for sure.
Yeah, huge for them. But you look at the remaining schedule for UNC. They've got a couple more tests, couple more big tests remaining. NC State, Louisville, Clemson, Duke. All teams within the top 35 of KenPom, all teams that without Caleb Wilson
NC
might
State's
be L's.
In the top 30 in KenPom?
Top 35, they're 32.
Can somebody explain that to me?
Clemson?
They have looked terrible. NC State.
Oh, NC State.
Yeah,
NC State's 26. Sorry, I thought you said Clemson.
Wow, really?
They're 26th in KenPom.
Maybe I'm only watching the bad games.
I mean, if you watch the Louisville game, I see why you think that, losing 118-77.
Yeah.
But prior to that, they had won 6 straight. Okay. And prior to that, they were 9-2 in conference play.
Okay.
So maybe you watch them play UVA, Georgia Tech, and Louisville.
Yeah, I must only be watching the bad games because I did not think I would not have had them in like 26.
Yeah, I think that Louisville game. I can't believe Louisville put up 118.
And I'm not even hating on Will Wade. I want him to succeed so he can get utterly embarrassed.
Goodness gracious, your hate runs deep for that man.
I'll never let it go. I'm sorry.
That's impressive. That is an impressive hatred you have for that man.
We got sanctions. He just got to keep going up.
He also got sanctioned. Didn't he? He got fired from LSU.
Yeah, he literally told LSU, I'm going to coach, and did.
That's true. That's true. All right, we'll come back hour number 2. We got a lot of NASCAR stuff to talk about in hour number 2. Pat Jaggers from the Motor Racing Network, he'll be joining us to kick off the first hour. Travis Peterson, the crew chief for Michael McDowell and the number 71 Spire Chevy. He'll be joining at the tail end of the second hour at around 9:45 to chat about preparations ahead of the Great American Race on Sunday. And Chris Mooney, he'll be stopping by at about 9:15 or so to chat about the upcoming Spiders showdown with VCU, and we'll preview the VCU Richmond game as well. That's all coming up. Hour number 2. Stick around with us. You're listening to 106.1 ESPN Richmond, where Richmond talks sports.
From kickoff to the final whistle, over Sundays belong to the NFL. The league's best matchups all season long. Only on 106.1 ESPN Richmond, where Richmond talks NFL all season long.
I checked Allstate first and saved hundreds on my car insurance. Really smart. Unfortunately, I didn't check if I took the gas hose out of my car's tank. Ooh, not smart. And I drove off while still attached to pump number 3.
Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds.
Potential savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate North American Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment? That's a lie. Most timeshares can be bought online for $1. To find out what your timeshare is worth and to cancel it, call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit kit free with all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley for your free exit info guide. 800-296-6868. That's 800-296-6868.
This President's Day, Pure Talk is honoring Jackson and Lincoln by offering unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data for just $25 a month. Meanwhile, Big Wireless is honoring Benjamin Franklin by charging families hundreds of dollars for the same 5G service. What's up with that? Ben Franklin wasn't even a president. When you switch to Pure Talk, you'll be in business with an American wireless company that supports our vets in a big way and keeps all their customer service in this country. That's important. And you'll be on the same towers the big carriers use, so you'll get the same 5G service without the inflated price. So hang on to your Benjamins and switch to Pure Talk for a Jackson and the Lincoln. No contract, no hidden fees. Dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and you'll get 50% off your first month when you switch. That's pound 250, Mike Rowe, for an American wireless company that is truly unprecedented. Pure Talk.
Your home for Richmond Spiders athletics all year round. W291CL Lakeside Richmond. WURV HD2 Richmond. We are 106.1 ESPN.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
We said it all season long. This was perhaps the easiest path, and that Josh Allen and company had no excuses. Here's a team that is in your division that you have reigned over. They have an amazing season. They get to the Super Bowl, and then they have that type of performance. Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills had to watch that game kicking themselves that they didn't get it done this season.
Unsportsmanlike. Weekday mornings starting at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN2.
Amber and Ian. It's a literal sheet of ice in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We don't know how to deal with it.
The South continuously acts like this never happens. Dallas is one of those cities. Atlanta's another one, right? Dallas is one of those cities. This never happens here. We don't know how to deal with it. It feels like Dallas needs to come around to the idea that this does, in fact, happen every once in a while.
Amber and Ian. Weeknights at 7 Eastern on ESPN Radio. Hey, did you miss Clinton and Friends?
The Browns finally made a hire. Todd Monken is the new head coach. He will be leading Cleveland next season. And I got to say, even in a hiring cycle in which Mike McCarthy replaced Mike Tomlin, the Browns have found a way to do something even more underwhelming and more disappointing than even that.
Clinton and Friends. Weekdays from 10 to noon Eastern on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
Amber
and Ian.
Dan Orlovsky revealed on Unsportsmanlike that he had an offensive coordinator fall asleep during a game. Michael is calling us from South Carolina.
Just basically learn how to sleep and drive and think at the same time. You just got to be a light sleeper. Don't sleep hard. That's all.
How does one ensure
people are driving tanks and they're sleeping?
Amber and Ian. Weeknights at 7 Eastern on
The second hour of Fitz the Bill is brought to you by Birdie Golf. Tired of paying premium prices for big-name golf balls that overpromise and underdeliver? Step up your game with Birdie Golf. Learn more about a local company at birdiegolf.com. Change out the I's for ones, and you're there. That's B1RD1E golf.com. Birdie Golf.
You're listening to the second hour of Fitz the Bill on 106.1 ESPN.
Welcome back in hour number 2 of Fitz the Bill right here on 106.1 ESPN Richmond. Appreciate you for making us part of your morning routine. You can be part of the show by calling or texting in to the Radkey Insurance phone line, 804-327-0888. You can also watch the stream on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. And if you want to be part of the stream, just like, comment, and subscribe as well. And we're getting hour number 2 started off with a bang. We are previewing the Daytona 500, the Great American Race, on Sunday. So we've got a couple of very, very important guests. And the most important of them all is Pat Jaggers making his triumphant return to 106.1 ESPN Richmond.
And now, Pat Jaggers.
Welcome in, Pat. How are you doing on the Friday before the Daytona 500? The season is back. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm out with my people at Daytona Beach, and it's been a fun week thus far. You know, Jack, you would think I would be, used to radio. As soon as you said my name, I started talking, and I forgot you've got a whole produced introduction for me. So you would think by now I'd be more of a professional and be able to figure that out.
Hey, look, we had a long off season, man. It's been a while. You got to get back. You got to get the sea legs back, or I guess the land legs back at this point.
Sure, if you say so. But man, we're doing great out here at Daytona Beach. It's been a fun week thus far on the Motor Racing Network. We've got action going for you guys all weekend long, and I'm excited, man. We got a lot to talk about, a lot to recap, and a lot to look forward to.
I want to start here. We had duels last night. What were some of your biggest takeaways from those?
Well, biggest takeaway is that Chase Briscoe looks freaking fantastic. One of the things that we talk about these tracks, Jack, is, we go to qualifying. We had single car qualifying Wednesday night. Those guys go out there. We didn't really see a lot of guys draft together in practice. We saw a little bit, not much. But when you get to the duel, you want to see who not only has that single car qualifying speed, but guys who can really race well in traffic, right? And we found out last night that Chase Briscoe is the real deal. I love the way he controlled the draft when he was leading the pack. I love that he really seemed like he could command the drafting lane, something he hasn't really been able to do in his career at the super speedways in this drafting style of racing. So I was really impressed by him. Something I was not shocked to see was that Joey Logano, Ryan Blaney, 2 super speedway superstars, won the first duel. Like those two with the Penske combination, I wasn't shocked at all by that. And if you know racing, you know NASCAR, if you go to a super speedway, we're talking Daytona 500, you've got Team Penske at the top of your list. I was talking to those folks over there last night, and I mean, they're already trying to figure out how they can short hit the fuel window on Sunday. That's just what they do, man. That's why they make the big bucks. The engineering staff over there, man, they're trying to find every advantage they can. So that was just one big takeaway that was pretty obvious. But one I don't think a lot of people are talking about is the fact that Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, 2 guys that aren't known for super speedway racing, man, they put together a heck of a race last night. And 2 other guys, I think that, Jack, you know how I feel about Michael McDowell, former Daytona 500 winner. him and Carson Hocevar, that Spire Motorsports combination, that team is starting to figure out their super speedway program. And when you bring in one of the best drivers on the super speedways, Michael McDowell, it took a year. We saw him take the pole at Talladega. I think they're going to be just fine. But that's just a few names, a few storylines I was watching from last night's duel.
I'm glad you brought up McDowell because we have Travis Peterson joining us later on in the hour, the crew chief of Michael McDowell. And so I'm really intrigued to see kind of how they're approaching and how their speedway, super speedway program has developed over the last 365 days. So that is a name to watch. Because of you, I'm always watching McDowell, but just looking at DraftKings betting odds, a couple of those names you mentioned, pretty solid value in them. Like Chase Briscoe, 22-1 right now, according to DraftKings. So just something to monitor. A guy I want to talk about is the guy who's the third favorite to win the race, according to DraftKings, Kyle Busch, right? Kyle Busch has had a rocky relationship with RCR, not necessarily in terms of the relationship itself, but the on the track kind of finishes. He's kind of progressively got worse every year at RCR. He wins the pole though. Am I reading too much into that? Am I getting too excited about that? Do they finally have the speed necessary, or is this just kind of a one-off happenstance? They just unloaded fast for Daytona.
It's his first pole in 20 years of racing at Daytona International Speedway for the Daytona 500, by the way. I asked Austin Dillon this question for production days in the offseason. I go, last lap, Austin, you're pushing Kyle Busch. You have a Daytona 500. You know what it would mean for Kyle Busch to get back in victory lane and Kyle Busch to finally mark that race off his list. He's won every single race except that one. What are you doing? And he said, look, I'm not going to lie to you, man. Because I go, look, you're pushing him. Do you bounce out of line and try to get Daytona win number 2? Or do you push Kyle Busch, one of the greatest to ever do it, to victory lane? He goes, I would love trophy number 2, but here's what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to do what it takes to get Richard Childress racing in victory lane. So it wasn't much of an answer, but at the end of the day, I mean, everybody knows how much of a massive feat this is for Kyle. And one thing I will say, Jack, is that last night, it started to get real squirrely in Duel 1 early on, and Kyle said, F this. I'm starting on the pole here. I'm getting out of here. All you goons can go crazy and go squirrely on Thursday night's duel. We've got a fast car. I'm not messing it up. I'm going to eject. Jack, Kyle Busch is going to be the front of this race for a large duration of it, and he's going to have a big-time opportunity. 2 years ago, Kyle Busch, I believe it was 2 years ago, he actually won the Daytona 500, but remember, it was the Daytona 518 because of all the cautions we had at the end of the race in overtime. So he actually did win the 500-miler, but because of all the cautions, he lost the Daytona 518 miles. But he talks about that all the time. And Jack, you're not reading too much into it. RCR is having a lot of confidence with their program in the offseason. His new crew chief, Jim Pullman, was Justin Allgaier's crew chief for his championship season in 2024 and last season when they made a run to championship in 2025 once again. So you're not reading too much into it. Jim and Kyle have seemed to got off to a great start. That's a great pairing. I like Jim. He's a good old boy that, will shoot you straight, and he loves talking to you on pit lane. So I like that combination. I'm not saying he's going to go off and win 5 races, but you're going to see an uptick in the performance this year.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. A guy I'm interested in because the social media talk around him has kind of swayed back and forth. It's Alex Bowman heading into this season with Hendrick Motorsports. How important is this year for Alex, who has seemingly kind of underperformed a bit over these last couple of years?
It's massive. It's absolutely massive. Because you got a guy by the name of Corey Heim. I understand that people say, you know what, he's got a contract with 2311 Racing and that everything will be fine. I'm telling you right now, we saw Tyler Reddick under contract with RCR a few years back, and then all of a sudden, Denny Hamlin came in and said, look, when his contract's up, he's going to be racing for me at 2311. And RCR said, you know what, that's the case, fine. We're tearing up your contract. It's void. You go figure it out, Tyler. And I think it's worked out for Tyler, to be honest with you. But the point being, Jack, is that there are guys waiting the wings that if I'm Hendrick Motorsports and Alex doesn't figure it out, they're going to have their pick of guys. And one of those is Corey Heim, who is running a partial schedule for 2311 this year. And, if I'm Corey, this doesn't go well, which it seems it's going to be fine because Corey looks very solid in that open car they put together for him for Daytona. But the point being is that there are guys that they're the next best thing that are coming up the ranks, Jack, and Alex needs to perform, because if you don't think Hendrick isn't looking at some of these other guys, I mean, if you're Hendrick Motorsports, you give Ross Chastain a call. Is there a way that you can, I know Connor Zillage is linked to this long-term deal, but is there a way to get him out of that? You don't know, Jack, until you make these phone calls. We talk about this all the time with college sports. You don't know a college coach's contract, even though he says he's long-term, until you call his agent and figure it out, right? And then next thing you know, you're tearing up a contract with Jimbo Fisher and you're trying to hire somebody else and you're paying $70 million. You're also doing a buyout to pay for somebody else's contract. If you feel like you can get the next best thing and they're going to elevate your football program, you're going to do that. And it's the exact same thing in racing.
Is a Hocevar a guy that might be able to kind of make that jump? I'm a big fan of what Hocevar's done over there at Spire.
Jack, they really believe in Carson Hocevar. I mean, they really believe him at Spire. They're going to do all they can to keep him locked in. And, Carson told me in the offseason, he was like, look, here's the deal. Like, we've got to win this year. All right, our team cannot keep on saying that we're going to win and that we're a team that will win if we don't do it. And if we don't do it this year, I don't know when the hell we're ever going to do it. And that was his exact words he told us in the offseason. And he's right. I mean, Spire Motorsports needs to put it together. We saw a lot of speed last year. Carson was a guy that really led the way on that front. Michael McDowell and his crew chief, Travis Peterson, were figuring it out, putting the pieces together. And I think for him, that's a guy that you say, Jack, the door's open for Hendrick Motorsports if they want him. I'm not saying he would go. I'm just saying that phone call will get made if Carson looks fantastic this year.
Pat Jaggers from the Motor Racing Network joining us on the Friday before the Daytona 500. You mentioned the drivers were getting a little squirrely in duel number one last night. Do you expect this to be a squirrely race on Sunday? Do you think there'll be a lot of moving and shaking early? How do you see this one playing out?
I think that's exactly what's going to happen. I think you're going to see a lot of moving and shaking early on, and then we'll get a couple cautions, kind of like what we did last year. I think we had one on lap 8, and I think after that, man, these guys will calm down, and you're still going to see 3 wide racing with the next gen car, because you have to have that fuel saving with the next gen car. So you're going to see that third groove on the top develop. You're going to see that. So it's going to seem squirrely, but that's by design to save fuel. So hopefully that makes sense for the listener. If you're not sure, feel free to DM me on Twitter and I'll give you guys a more thorough breakdown. I'm just kidding. But regardless, you're going to see what feels like very squirrely racing, and it's actually by design early on. Now, once we get a couple wrecks, like always, these guys are going to calm down, and you're going to see a little bit more development and structure in how they compete with each other.
And last question here, the hometown guy for us, Denny Hamlin. He went through a lot of tragedy this offseason, and then you guys were talking with him during media days, offseason stuff. How is he kind of handling this season going into it following what happened to him in the offseason?
He's fine. His Mama Lou is doing a lot better health-wise after the fire. He's just had a whirlwind of an offseason between, I hate bringing it up, but it's the truth. The lawsuit, that finally getting resolved. Everyone over there is in really good spirits. The sport's in really good spirits all across the board. But to answer your question, then all he can do is concentrate on what's in front of him, man. I don't really think that answers your question, but that's really been kind of his response to us every time we talk to him is, I got to focus on what's in front of me. It's a lot. He's a driver. He's a co-owner of 2311 Racing, and he's got a lot going on right now. And I think for Denny, he just needs something positive to happen. I don't know what that is, but maybe it's, winning the Daytona 500, I think would help.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see. Currently 9-1, according to DraftKings. Not a clear-cut favorite in this race. Should be An absolute blast on Sunday. Pat, appreciate you taking some time out of your morning to chat with us. Have a great Friday, Saturday, and have a good time on the call.
Absolutely, man. And once again, Daytona 500 coverage on the Motor Racing Network is this weekend on your local affiliate. You can go to mrn.com to find that. Once again, you listen to us on SiriusXM and your preferred streaming outlet. And I tell Jack and the ESPN Richmond listeners all this time, this is the first time you guys heard me on the airwaves. Look, if you're watching it, sync up the MRN broadcast online and sync those things together. You'll never go back.
That is a very veteran recommendation. Appreciate it, Pat. Have a great rest of your day.
You too. See you, buddy. Bye.
There goes Pat Jaggers of the Motor Racing Network. Always love chatting with him, catching up, getting his thoughts on the race. Gave a couple of long shot winners. I like the Chase Briscoe pick. Michael McDowell always is a fun one. McDowell pretty solid at super speedways. And we'll chat with his crew chief, Travis Peterson, later on in hour number 2 at around 9:45. Travis Peterson will be joining us live from Daytona as we talk preparations for the race on Sunday. We're going to get a quick break in here. Step aside. We'll be back. Head coach of Richmond men's basketball, Chris Mooney, will be stopping by to chat about the upcoming game against VCU and how the Spiders can use that win on Tuesday against Mason for momentum heading into a rivalry showdown. That's coming up next on Fitz the Bill.
Henrico Sports and Entertainment Authority Executive Director Dennis Bickmeyer joins Bob Black for the Henrico Huddle, ESPN Richmond's newest monthly feature.
Get ready to own your winter at Massanutten Resort, where you choose your next adventure. Ski and snowboard on some of the best slopes in Virginia. With 23 runs, there's fun for every skill level. Save with our special lodging packages and stay in our premier lodging accommodations in the valley or on the mountain of Massanutten Resort's beautiful 6,000 acres. Enjoy snow tubing, ice skating, our award-winning indoor water park, relaxing spa experiences, delicious dining options, and much more. Start your next adventure at massresort.com/winter.
February is famous for presidents' birthdays. Abraham Lincoln, George Washington, and believe it or not, mine too. This is Rob Nicholson, president at East Coast Appliance, and we're having a huge President's Day sale to celebrate. Save up to 50% off Virginia's largest in-stock inventory of new appliances, or save even more with up to 75% off our huge scratch and dent inventory. All with same-day, next-day delivery and installation available. It's the President's Day sale at East Coast Appliance. Hey, send me a birthday card. At East Coast Appliance, we used to shop all over town to make sure you were getting the best price. Now we use AI to make the process easier and a whole lot faster. We have electronic price tags on all of our appliances that scan our competitors' prices and then check our prices to make sure we're lower. We take our best price guarantees seriously, and this helps to save our customers time and money. So if you're in the market for a new appliance, just stop by your local East Coast Appliance Superstore and see for yourself. East Coast Appliance, the best price, or it's free.
Bonaire Shell is family owned and operated and has been serving the Richmond community for over 20 years. At Bonaire Shell, you'll find old school service with modern day technology, and our certified technicians will get you back on the road in no time. Stop by for a quick fill up, shop for new tires, ask us about a check engine light, or let us help with any of your auto service needs. Find us at 8762 Huguenot Road near the historic Bonaire section of Southside and online at bonaireshell.com.
Weather reports on 106.1 ESPN Richmond, brought to you by Herman Allen Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, a premier Lennox dealer. Online at hermanallenplumbing.com.
Catch up on the latest horse racing news with Off to the Races live broadcast, 10 to 11 every Saturday morning on 106.1 ESPN. Presented by The Racing Biz.
This is advertising material.
Injured in an Uber or Lyft? Here's the problem. Was it the driver's fault? The other car? The app company? Good luck figuring that out while you're trying to heal. Alexander Shinar Trial Attorneys, they've got a guy for rideshare accidents. And here's the best part. They don't get paid unless you do. You heal. They fight. One call, 877-222-6666. Or visit alexwins.law. Alexander Shinar Trial Attorneys. Because rideshare accidents need an experienced team.
This is advertising material. Past results do not guarantee future outcomes. Every case is different. Philip George's licensed attorney in Virginia is responsible for legal work. Office located in Norfolk.
Coming up on the Friday edition of Border to Border, we'll get you set for VCU Richmond Round 2 at the Robbins Center on Saturday as the Rams' Jadrian Tracy joins the show. And we'll close the book on the football seasons with VSiN's Tim Murray. 4 until 6, 106.1 ESPN.
Looking to grow your local business? Let's team up. I'm Jack Fitzpatrick, host of Fitz the Bill on ESPN Richmond. Together, we can craft on-air campaigns that drive customers right through your doors. Ready to collaborate? Email me, jack.fitzpatrick@summitmediacorp.com. Welcome in. Fitz the Bill rolling right along. Jack Fitzpatrick here, joined now. Chris Mooney, Richmond men's basketball Spider head coach, joining us this morning. Coach, good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Jack. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. Thank you for coming back on. And look, a little good luck. You're coming off of a pretty solid win, 82-70 against Mason on Tuesday, snapping that 6-game losing streak. A red hot first half for you guys. What was the key to scoring 49 first half points?
Yeah, I really feel like most coaches would tell you, it starts on the defensive end. And I thought that our energy and just enthusiasm, which really, for us had been really the identity of our team for the first, 12, 15 games. And we felt like we had lost that or misplaced that over the course of not all the final 6 games, but certainly in some games we just didn't have that same energy and just enthusiasm for competing. And I thought we had that in a big way against Mason. Got off to a great start, and I feel like that was the biggest difference in the game.
So was there anything pregame that you guys did maybe a little differently that locked you in? Was there like a pregame meal, pregame routine, something like that you guys will stick with for the rest of the season?
Probably, you do a couple things. You might do some things by accident. You say, we did do that, so let's continue to do that. But yeah, I mean, I think as much as anything, the messaging and it's coaching a team. I feel like is always a balance between challenging the guys to be better, but also motivating them and demanding that they give a little bit more and try a little bit harder. But also motivating them to, let them know you believe that they can. And so hopefully that balance is something we can bottle up and capture and use for the remainder of the season.
Richmond Spider men's basketball head coach Chris Mooney taking some time out of his morning to join us on Fitz the Bill. Coach Aiden Argerbright, he had worked into the starting lineup for a couple of games, then missed the Rhode Island game. He came off the bench against Mason on Tuesday and had 14. For Aiden, what does he provide for this team coming off of the bench compared to being in the starting lineup?
Yeah, I mean, he provides a whole lot, I think, no matter if he starts or comes off the bench. When he comes off the bench, it's probably a little bit of a change up because he's so quick and so aggressive. And I just feel like, he's such a good all around player. He has he's a great sense for the game. He has a good sense for being a point guard, being a leader. He knows how to play and he competes. And so I think I feel like he's super valuable no matter when he is in the game, whether that's starting or coming off the bench. We're fortunate to have him and look forward to him, progressing and becoming a great player.
And another guy you got back into the lineup, I guess, against Rhode Island and had him for the Mason game as well, Jonathan Beagle. What does his presence do for the team? Because it seemed like once he steps foot on the court, things kind of change a little bit.
They do, yeah. He does bring a great energy, especially for someone who's playing center. He's not, he's probably about 6'9", but has a great energy, can really move well. He had 7 defensive rebounds or 7 rebounds in the first half against Mason. That's something that is always valuable to any team, especially ours. But yeah, his grit, his speed, and his aggressiveness are all felt. And so, playing without him, was limiting for us, and to have him back is just great. And hopefully he can continue to provide that toughness and that punch that he did on Tuesday.
Richmond Spider men's basketball head coach joining us, Chris Mooney. Yeah, I think the days are starting to blend together at this point in the season. I think you're just kind of looking ahead. All we know is Valentine's Day. You got VCU. We'll talk about that game here in a second, but I do want to go kind of to the end of that Mason game because there was a bit of a cold stretch, kind of finish things out. How do you avoid something like that happening moving forward as you guys look to close out and use some momentum from this game moving forward?
Yeah, I think, if you watch enough college basketball, it's hard to, at the end of games, when the one team who's down, they really kind of can put their head down and go to the basket. And it's hard to avoid those fouls. We committed a lot of fouls late. And I thought we had really, nearly perfect offensive possessions, being the position we were in terms of we were aggressive, but the we moved the ball. We took a couple of shots probably with 5 seconds left in the thing that went in and out. And so, I don't think it's anything to dwell on. And hopefully it is something we need to work on, being in that position again.
And now looking ahead, your next game is that Valentine's Day showdown against VCU. You welcome in your crosstown rival. What'd you learn about them in that game at the Siegel Center a few weeks back?
Yeah, well, they're very talented. They have really, really nice, similar players in terms of their length and their athleticism that, their guys all share that. Certainly they play hard and have a really good game plan with Coach Martelli. And, and I think what really stands out to everybody is just that length and athleticism that they can bring at every position. They've scored the ball pretty well this year. They've defended well. So they're really good, and it's going to take a great effort for us to compete, and hopefully have another memorable and great game with VCU.
How do you think bringing Beagle back into the lineup for this game? He missed the last VCU game. How do you think his presence kind of will change things down low in the post, specifically with Djokovic?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Djokovic is a handful, and he really makes them that much more dynamic. His ability to move, his ability to score at his size. He had a great game against LaSalle this week. I think that is another guy that we can put on, another guy that's physical, another guy that is maybe doesn't quite look him eye to eye, but has good size and is physical, and can hopefully make him earn every basket that he gets, because he's an impressive player, and he's somebody that we really need to key on and make sure that doesn't feel too comfortable.
And I would love to know kind of the coaching and player mindset looking out the rest of the games. I think 6 games left, including the VCU game on Saturday. What's the mindset as you guys enter this backstretch of the season? Is it a game-by-game type of approach, or are you trying to kind of put together a late season push here to potentially move up the A-10 standings? And are you thinking about that? Is seeding kind of coming into the mind at this point?
Yeah, I think it probably starts to, even, no matter how much we emphasize it as coaches, these guys are pretty connected to their phones, and they have, there are lots of people discussing it, talking about it, tweeting it. So I think it'd be silly to just ignore it. But one thing the VCU game always does for us, because it does mean so much to Richmond, it does mean so much to the community and VCU, I think it enables you to just focus on this one, and we're fortunate that we have a game under our belt. So we have an understanding of their size and speed and what they try to do to attack and how they try to defend. But bigger than that is the rivalry and the electricity that is always in the buildings when we play, and how much it means. So hopefully that'll enable us for this particular game to just look right here at Saturday and try to give the best possible account of ourselves.
And what does this rivalry mean for you? You've been involved with it for so long. I think one of the talking points earlier when you guys faced off against VCU, this is like the 7th VCU coach you faced off against, but you've been kind of the steady force on the Richmond side of it all. What does it mean for you to be involved in this rivalry for so long?
Yeah, I think it's great. I think we're incredibly lucky that we have a rival. They're of this magnitude, that means this much, that that has this much of a storyline to it, that have had this many great games. That I've been on both sides of, that have had great players and great shots and big moments. And it means a lot. Some teams don't have this as, built into their schedule. We do. We're lucky for that. VCU's been a great program. And, that part is for us is makes it even more special, because we're trying to do something that's hard for all A-10 teams. And we're trying to make sure that we can uphold our end of the bargain in terms of making this a great game and, making ourselves worthy of a game like this. And I think that's really what our message has been, is let's soak it up and enjoy it, but let's make ourselves worthy of, tickets are a little more expensive. The focus on the game is a little bit more, the alums of the schools, and let's make sure we're worthy of that.
Awesome, Coach. Good luck on Saturday against VCU. Thank you so much for your time.
You bet. Thanks so much, Jack.
Appreciate Coach Mooney for taking some time out of his day to chat with us about the upcoming game against VCU. And of course, the win against Mason, which for Richmond, massive win, snapped that 6-game losing streak they found themselves in against one of the top teams in the Atlantic 10. Oh, by the way, the offense just drops 49 first half points as well. You love to see that out of the offense, finding their feet a little bit because offensively has struggled here a little bit. So you like to see those shooting percentages come up. Talked a little bit there about how they're able to take that momentum and carry it over into the Saturday showdown against VCU. So fascinating stuff. We'll preview the game a little bit more in depth on the other side of this break. You're listening to Fitz the Bill right here on 106.1 ESPN Richmond.
WorkZone is the one-stop shop for the hardworking man and woman. When it comes to the biggest selection, WorkZone has it. Over 15 brands of boots in all toe types, even boots for the ladies. WorkZone has jackets in stock for all seasons, from cold weather to lightweight. See why WorkZone will be your first and only stop for the best brands and comfort and workwear. And a gift card from WorkZone is always the perfect gift. Visit WorkZone on Temple Avenue, next to the Ford dealership, WorkZoneVA.com, and check them out on Instagram and Facebook.
West Cary Sports Bar is the perfect spot to catch a VCU Rams game, college basketball, soccer, NBA, or the Winter Olympic Games. Robinson and Cary Street in the Fan. Online at westcarysportsbar.com. We put the O in flowers. Oh, it's
Valentine's Day is this Saturday, February 14th, and you need to get flowers. Vogue Flower Market is the place for all your Valentine's Day needs. From stunning rose bouquets to elegant handmade arrangements by Richmond's premier local florist. We have every option to suit your budget with mixed bouquets starting at $14.95 at each of our locations. We understand the importance of every detail, and that's why Vogue offers hand delivery to surprise your special someone at home or work. Imagine the joy on their face when a professionally crafted arrangement arrives straight from the heart. Stop by one of Vogue's convenient locations, Parham Road near Patterson in the West End, or our flagship headquarters at Arthur Ashe Boulevard near Broad Street. There's no time to wait. Call and place your order today at 804-353-9600. That's 804-353-9600, or go to VogueFlowers.com to order online.
A duo that's perfect together. That's Herman Allen Plumbing, Heating and Cooling, and Lennox. Herman Allen is your local Lennox dealer, and they're committed to making your family's home comfort their top priority. With a wide assortment of Lennox products to offer, Herman Allen Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling will ensure your home's air is perfect for your family. Call today at 804-746-5853 or visit online at HermanAllenPlumbing.com to learn more about how you can experience expert service and care.
This is an important notice to all U.S. taxpayers. The IRS is giving away billions of dollars in tax savings through a federal program called the Fresh Start Initiative to aid delinquent taxpayers. This initiative was established for anyone facing financial hardship and unable to pay their back taxes. Qualifying and enrolling in this program will stop all collections, settle your delinquent tax problem, and even reduce what you owe by thousands of dollars. Call the hotline at People's Tax Relief to see if you qualify and get this free information by dialing 800-924-7415. If you have unfiled tax returns or cannot afford to pay your personal or business back taxes, you can now get the help you need. One simple phone call can resolve your tax problem and save you thousands of dollars. To see if you qualify and to get this important free information, call 800-924-7415. 800-924-7415. 800-924-7415.
We don't wait to react. We lead the conversation.
And what it means next.
The Sports Huddle with Bob and Mac, weekdays 4 to 6.
Welcome back into Fitz the Bill here on this Friday morning, the day before Valentine's Day. I'm Jack Fitzpatrick alongside Alan. We'll be joined by Travis Peterson here in about 10 minutes or so. He's the crew chief of the Michael McDowell number 71 Spire Chevy. But before we get there, I do want to preview a little bit about this pretty massive crosstown rivalry tomorrow, the Capital City Classic, as VCU heads to the Robins Center to take on the Spiders. Alan, is it a rivalry?
Yeah, I mean, it's a rivalry, but in my mind, I don't think it's the number one rivalry. Yeah. I think I've said this before. I think, especially when I was in school, Mason was the number one rival for us.
Yeah.
And back in the CAA days, we hated ODU, but I think we just hated ODU because we hated ODU.
Hey, as a JMU fan,
but
I'm supposed to hate ODU, but I've got a nice little respect.
But it's like
Monarchs.
Clearly being in the same city. It's a rivalry,
and being in the same conference, playing twice a year, it makes for a lot of storylines. It makes for a natural rivalry to take place. These two teams have faced off a lot since their first meeting way back in the day. VCU 63-33 all time against the Spiders. That does need to change a little bit though for the rivalry's sake. But VCU has owned this rivalry, and it is a rivalry. I'm just kind of poking fun at it.
You can have multiple rivals. It's fine.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Ohio State has Michigan, but they also have Penn State.
Yeah,
it's a rivalry. That's what it is.
And a lot of your Big Ten schools have just rivalries with a lot of the other Big Ten schools. But for Richmond, it feels like a game both in this season, then also just kind of at large, Capital City Classic wise. You really, 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 really need to win. For Richmond, I mean, they are playing for Atlantic 10 seeding, like that tournament seeding wise. You want to move up a little bit, and it is kind of a logjam there in the middle of the Atlantic 10. So you can start stacking wins. You'll feel a lot better heading into the Atlantic 10 tournament up there in Pittsburgh. And getting that win over Mason at home is a huge boost. That's not a game that I think a lot of people were chalking up for Richmond to win. They did it. They did it with great offense. And now how do you back that up going into this rivalry game against VCU? And in that game at the Siegel Center, Richmond had a pretty solid, I'd call it like the fourth quarter almost, because how men's basketball is with the two halves, but you've got the first half of the first half, the second half of the first half, first quarter, second. It's kind of how I break it up in my mind. They had a good kind of end of third into fourth quarter, if you break it up that way, to claw back, overcoming a 17-point deficit, making it a one-possession game, but then ultimately falling short because VCU just kind of started to flex its muscle again. But they showed that they have what it takes to go toe-to-toe with VCU. And a big addition coming back into the lineup for Richmond is Jonathan Beagle. Him and Walls down low in the post are going to provide a new look for Richmond, something that VCU did not get a good look at the last time these two teams played at the tail end of January. And they're going to need all of it to stop Djokovic. Djokovic is a stud.
Yeah, Djokovic is a problem. I think for me, strategically, it's still the same concept with the Spiders. You don't want to necessarily go shot for shot with VCU. You're going to have to weather some storms. They're going to be runs. But I thought they did a great job in that game in the Siegel Center of not getting out of their strategy, which allowed them to come back. Granted, they didn't get the win, but at one point they were within a bucket, I think.
Yeah, they were within three.
So I and that wasn't one of their better shooting performances either. So I think there's a lot of positives to take from that. And in the case of Richmond right now, we are in that window where you could build some momentum.
Yes.
And everybody will forget about January and the first half of February. Like we're in that window. You knock off a pretty good set of games here, roll into the tournament and see what happens there. But like I said, we can erase a lot of bad juju.
And we talked about it, I think it was yesterday, where Richmond's got 6 games remaining. 4 of the 6 are against teams outside the top 100 in KenPom. And then you've got Dayton in there, who is just on the fringe of that. They're 97th in KenPom. So you've got some winnable games here down the stretch if you do want to kind of prove, hey, January was a fluke. We're more like that early season team than the team that started Atlantic 10 play, frankly. But they're going to need to force some turnovers against VCU. They did not do all that good of a job of that back earlier this season. What was that, January 27th when the two teams played? They only forced 7 turnovers. You're going to have to get that up a little bit, create some easy bucket opportunities. And this is all to say Richmond's got an uphill task because VCU is a good basketball team. VCU is one of the best teams in the Atlantic 10. They're one of the best mid-majors in the nation. They've got an electric offense. They rank 47th in the nation in offensive efficiency. They're second in the Atlantic 10 in offensive efficiency. And that's going to be very difficult for Richmond to defend, who has struggled in Atlantic 10 play, ranking 12th in defensive efficiency in conference games. So for VCU, just lean on that offense and then continue doing what you're doing, which is dominate inside the arc.
The interior defense of VCU is one of the best in the Atlantic 10. And this is a Spiders team that can hit it from three at a pretty solid clip, but they're actually one of the worst teams in the Atlantic 10 at shooting inside the arc. So for VCU, just make them beat you with threes. If they beat you with threes, hey, hats off to you. Good job. We'll move on. But that's going to be fascinating to see how it plays out. Let's get a quick break in here. We'll step aside. Travis Peterson, crew chief for Michael McDowell and the number 71 Spire Chevy, will be joining us on the other side of the break. Talk to him a little bit about the preparations as they get set for Sunday's Great American Race, the Daytona 500, NASCAR's Super Bowl. Travis Peterson, crew chief for Michael McDowell, joining us on the other side.
Valentine's Day is this Saturday, February 14th, and you need to get flowers. Vogue Flower Market is the place for all your Valentine's Day needs. From stunning rose bouquets to elegant handmade arrangements by Richmond's premier local florist. We have every option to suit your budget with mixed bouquets starting at $14.95 at each of our locations. We understand the importance of every detail, and that's why Vogue offers hand delivery to surprise your special someone at home or work. Imagine the joy on their face when a professionally crafted arrangement arrives straight from the heart. Stop by one of Vogue's convenient locations, Parham Road near Patterson in the West End, or our flagship headquarters at Arthur Ashe Boulevard near Broad Street. There's no time to wait. Call and place your order today at 804-353-9600. That's 804-353-9600, or go to VogueFlowers.com to order online. Get the latest update on Henrico County sports tournaments, happenings, and future events on ESPN Richmond's newest segment, the Henrico Huddle. Join Henrico Sports and Entertainment Authority Executive Director Dennis Bickmeyer as he joins Bob Black on the Sports Huddle. For more information on Henrico Sports and Event Center calendar, visit online at henricosea.com or tune in to the last Wednesday of each month for the Henrico Huddle on 106.1 ESPN Richmond.
Bonaire Shell has been serving the RVA community for 20 plus years, providing service with a smile and technicians you can trust. Family owned and operated, 8762 Huguenot Road.
We expect our information in real time. US Med carries continuous glucose monitors, which provide real-time readings of blood glucose levels. US Med is an approved provider for Medicare and over 500 private insurers. So call 888-665-0696 today for a free insurance and Medicare benefits check as easy as that's 888-665-0696.
You still thinking job change in the new year?
Yeah, I need something that's in high demand and more stable in this economy.
IT?
Yeah, cybersecurity, maybe even AI.
That's what I did.
Really? How?
Went to My Computer Career. You don't need any prior experience, and you could start your new career in a matter of months. A lot of IT pros go to school there, too, to level up.
Sweet. Are classes online or on campus?
Both.
Wow, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Make this your year. Take the free career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu, an Elite CompTIA certification partner. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
Check out RVA's new sports destination, West Cary Sports Bar. Stop by to catch a game, arcades, or a classic American bar food menu. Robinson and Cary Street in the Fan. Online at westcarysportsbar.com.
I've always wanted to learn French, but the app I tried didn't help.
If you want to memorize words in another language, there's an app for that. But if you want to really learn another language, there's Babbel. Babbel was designed by over 200 language learning experts to be the most effective way to learn another language.
With other language learning apps, I was just playing games. I wasn't really learning. Babbel's different. Every time I open the app, I can choose to work on my writing, speaking, or listening. And it saves my mistakes for me to review, so I'm constantly improving. Babbel feels like it was created intentionally by people who really know what you need to learn another language. Before Babbel, I thought I just wasn't good with languages. But now I'm speaking French. Tout ça, c'est grâce à Babbel.
Want to really learn another language? Save up to 50% on your Babbel subscription when you sign up at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com to save up to 50%. Babbel.com.
Nate Lewis is part of Raisin Hill coverage. And every Tuesday, he joins Fitz the Bill for insider reports, film breakdowns, and Commanders news. Only on your home for the NFL all season long. 106.1 ESPN Richmond.
Welcome back in. Fitz the Bill here on this Friday morning.
getting you set for the Daytona 500 on Sunday. I'm Jack Fitzpatrick, Allen alongside, and we're joined now by Travis Peterson, crew chief for the number 71 Spire Chevy. Travis, good morning. How you doing on the Friday before the big race?
Hey, how you doing? You got me?
Yes, we do indeed. How are you doing on this Friday?
I'm good. Sorry, it dropped out there for a second, but I'm doing good. We're heading into the racetrack right now.
Awesome. Yeah, no worries. We sometimes got little elves in our phone line, so just powering through on a wonderful Friday. How preparations coming for the Daytona 500?
It's good. Obviously we raced last night, and so today is a lot of kind of just resetting everything to get it back ready for the 500 after you did one race, and you get out there and you bump traps a little bit and move everything around, and you need to just get it all back perfect because it's the biggest race of the year.
What'd you guys learn about your car yesterday in the duels?
Honestly, we were really happy with it. I think there were a lot of guys struggling with handling and everything, and Michael was pretty happy. I think it was directionally, a little looser than probably we've been in the past, and I think that's what a lot of guys were saying. They're a little bit more of a handful to drive, and so I guess we got it okay, but maybe a little bit of work to do on it afterwards.
Travis Peterson, crew chief for Michael McDowell, joining us on the Friday morning. And I want to know from your perspective, because super speedway races, Daytona, a little bit different than the rest of the schedule. How does it feel from the top of the box? Like, what things are you keying in on as the crew chief of the team to try and figure out the best strategy moving forward as the race progresses?
Yeah, for us, it's entirely different. You're super worried about all of your setup information for handling most of the time. And you have to handle well here, but it's a lot more about managing the fuel, making sure your car can get pushed well, because you can't just do it yourself. You can't just go drive past everybody all on your own, even if your car drove great. And so you have to be able to be ready for those moments when you're pushing or somebody else is pushing. And then it really comes down to those key moments of pit stops and the pit cycles that we talk about all the time, and trying to need less fuel than everybody, or just execute that moment as fast as you can, because when the whole field's within, call it a half second of each other, those small moments on pit road add up really fast to where you come back out when it's go time.
I got to know, do you prefer this style of racing where it is so jam-packed, there's all the drafting, everything going on in a super speedway at Daytona, or do you prefer something like a short track?
It's tough. There's pros and cons of both. When we do this style of racing, it's exciting because everybody has a chance the whole time, right? And so you never really feel out of it. You don't go into it and you're like, man, that guy's just better than us. We can't beat him today because it's speedway, and you're right up, tucked up close all the time. But at the same time, you don't always feel very in control here, because somebody else's mistake or somebody else not giving you the right push at the right time can ruin your day. And you didn't really do a whole lot to cause that. So it's kind of got its ebbs and flows. I think it's good that we get a few of them a year, but I wouldn't want to do this all the time.
Travis Peterson, crew chief for the number 71 Spire Chevy, joining us this Friday morning. And that is something that is so interesting with this race, where you're just kind of holding on, at least from the fan perspective watching it. It seems like the drivers just kind of holding on, hoping they don't get caught up in the big one. Is that kind of the feeling from the top of the box as well?
Yeah, I would say it's similar. There's a lot of calm moments where, like I said, you're managing fuel and you're doing all these things, but at the same time, it is intense because it's always changing. That's what's unique about the style of racing is you'll have somebody go into fuel savings, then somebody go hard. Well, you don't want to lose too many spots, so then you got to go. And I joke about my driver jokes with me really more than the other way around. He's like, how do you want me to save fuel and stay at the front? Like those things don't go together. So it's an interesting dynamic of this constant, kind of chess game between everybody in the field, and you're ever evolving into whatever everybody else does. You can't just do it yourself. And so it does create a interesting aspect from that side.
So when he asks you that, what's your answer? Is it just like, yes?
Basically, it's like, well, I need both, so I don't know what to tell you, but that's what we need.
And you and Michael paired up, back in 2023? Since then, you guys have had a pretty solid relationship. Well, what's been the key to that pairing, that driver crew chief pairing?
I think for us, we treat each other similarly in that, like, our personality types are pretty close in terms of being very direct and honest with each other, and just like, hey, we want to win. We don't care about the fluff. We just need to talk about how to get better. And so that helped us, I think, grow really fast early on. And then it's just time. Once you establish a good relationship, sometimes it takes multiple people, driver, crew chief combinations till you find the right personality pairing. But when you get it where you feel comfortable and happy in that, it's like a marriage or any relationship. You have to be able to communicate well. You have to be able to get back from the racetrack and work on stuff and still be friendly with each other because we spend so much time together, but also driven for the goal. And when it works, you just try not to screw it up. And I say that because it takes time to get there. And if me and Michael split up and we both had new pairings, it would take time to learn that new person. And that's time you're not executing at your highest. So once you get it to a happy spot, the longer you do it, the better you are together.
And Michael McDowell's had some success at Daytona, winning it back in, I believe, 2021. What is it about his driving style that lends itself to the Daytona 500 and other super speedway tracks?
I think he's very methodical about his approach and his preparation and preparing for all kinds of different moments. And that's the way this goes down. Every race has got a little bit of uniqueness, but the key things that you study or that you're good at in terms of setting up runs or what needs to happen in the last few laps of a race or the last moments of exiting a corner or whatever to generate the run that can win you the race or just get you in a good spot. It takes a lot of time and study and prep work, and he does that really well.
And last question here before we let you go, Travis. You guys, I saw the paint scheme come out for the number 71 Spire Chevy you guys are running. Pretty cool paint scheme, right? Does that do anything for you guys, or are you just worried about getting it to the end of the race? Because as fans, again, we're watching the paint schemes. We're like, man, that car looks good.
Man, you're always excited to have a cool paint scheme, regardless of, if it's Moto Casino and we got a bald eagle at the Great American Race, that's awesome, right? Or if you just have one that kind of has colors you like or whatever, there's just always that little extra something about when you like the scheme, you just like the car more, and it's like you're willing it to be faster. I don't know that it necessarily actually affects the speed, but you do have that personal connection to any paint scheme you like. And the bald eagle on the front of the Great American Race is pretty sweet.
I love it. Travis, good luck on Sunday. Have fun the next couple of days as you guys prepare for it. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. See you.
Of course, there goes Travis Peterson, crew chief for Michael McDowell, the number 71 Spire Chevy. Michael McDowell getting set, trying to win his second Daytona 500. McDowell won it back in 2021, and he's a very solid super speedway driver. I mean, heck, Pat Jaggers of the Motor Racing Network joined us earlier on in hour number one and identified McDowell as a guy who had some speed. Both the Spire Chevys had speed, Hocevar and McDowell in the duels yesterday, and Pat Jaggers said he's also he's a big Michael McDowell fan, so of course he identified him, but should be a fantastic race. Kyle Busch, Chase Briscoe starting on the front. The duels kind of figured everything else out last night, and they'll just go through practices and getting all their adjustments made and everything like that over the next couple of days before green flag waves on Sunday. Daytona 500, man, it's here. NASCAR season is here. Looking forward to have Pat on every single week, but appreciate Travis taking some time.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, I'm going to add a NASCAR race to my travels. I already checked the schedule. I can make the first.
That's Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, I can make that.
It's a fun race.
Yeah, I want the experience. And if I'm ever home, I'll go to Martinsville. But like, I got to go past my parents to go to Martinsville. That just seems like such a long drive.
That is a long. What? It's like 4 hours away.
Yeah,
Martinsville's on my bucket. I got like a bucket list of tracks I want to go to.
Yeah.
I've checked a couple of them off. Darlington was awesome. I want to do Martinsville too. Martinsville up there, Daytona, of course, up there, Talladega up there. Maybe we go on location next year down to Daytona and have ourselves a little beach week.
We could try that.
You sound real excited about that one.
No, the tailgating is like the best.
Second to none.
Yeah, at NASCAR races, it's phenomenal.
It's hours long. That's what I did at Richmond last year.
I mean, it was part of their promotion actually. When the one that they had on Twitter, they highlighted the tailgating. I'm like, that'll get me every time.
I'm there. Hey, we'll have an ESPN Richmond sponsored tailgate for the next year's Richmond race and have ourselves some fun. Hey, any means possible.
Anything to get free food.
But I'm very excited for the Daytona. I think Kyle has a very good shot, and it's funny because Pat Jagger said, no, you're not reading too much into Kyle Busch having speed. That's big time for RCR. Tim Catalfamo, the Turn 4 announcer from MRN, he joined us yesterday. He was like, this is the first race of the season. We kind of have to see how it bears out a little bit more. I'm going to go with Pat's answer. Because he agreed with me a little bit more. But I am pumped to see Kyle in that RCR car. Hopefully they made the necessary changes this offseason to give him that speed. Every year with RCR, he has gotten worse. He finished 14th in the point standings his first year with him, 20th his second year, 21st last year, hoping for a rebound this year. I don't think he's won a race in 2 seasons.
He won 1 or 2 races his first year with RCR. Then they just lost all of their speed over the last couple of years. So I think that's a fantastic sign for Kyle to get that speed, have the early speed, land on the pole. First time he's ever won the pole at Daytona. That is a huge plus sign. Now, the biggest key, and Travis was kind of talking about it there as well, you just got to stay out of trouble because your day can end for no fault of your own. And that's what makes Daytona so much fun. You just are watching, you're like, what's going to happen? You're waiting on the edge of your seat for the big one, but you're also waiting on the edge of your seat to see if your driver can make it through the absolute carnage that is Daytona. So for Kyle, if he can stay out in front, he's a guy to really keep an eye on. Because if RCR invested in that team and got speed back, Kyle Busch is still one of the best drivers in all of NASCAR. And I just kind of have something where I like the villains of NASCAR. Kyle Busch was one of my favorites. Denny Hamlin's one of my favorites. Denny Hamlin, also Chesterfield native, so represent to Denny. But I mean, Jimmy Johnson was actually my first ever favorite driver. He wasn't much of a villain.
Yeah, I was going to say Jimmy wasn't a villain.
Jimmy wasn't a villain at all, but Kyle Busch, bit of a villain. Denny Hamlin, there's just something about him.
I mean, my first NASCAR race was here in Richmond, and they booed Denny when he won. So I was like, wow.
Wow, they must really hate him.
Like, yeah, this is his hometown.
So green flag Sunday, Daytona 500. Pat Jagger said it. If you want a great experience, mute the TV, turn on the MRN broadcast. You can do the same with tomorrow's VCU Richmond game as well. Mute the TV. You can find it on CBS Sports Network. And then turn on our broadcast right here on 106.1 ESPN Richmond of the Capital City Classic. Richmond looking for its first win over VCU since March of 2024. That was a Richmond win at the Robins Center, 79-76. VCU has won its last 3 matchups against Richmond, including the 78-60 win a year ago at the Robins Center. Mooney looking to move to 10-28 all time against VCU. Got to get that record up against your crosstown rival. And I think that is kind of a sticking point for a lot of Spiders fans around the area. But I appreciate you guys for making us part of your morning each and every day this entire week. Don't go anywhere because ESPN Richmond rolls right along. We've got Clinton and Friends coming up next. That takes you into the Rich Eisen Show. And then we're back live and local with the Friday special edition of Border to Border from 4 until 6. Matt's got a ton of guests planned to come out. He'll break down the VCU Richmond game in depth. You don't want to miss it. And of course, tomorrow, coverage begins of the Capital City Classic right here on 106.1 ESPN Richmond at 6:30 p.m. Tip-off is slated for 7 p.m. And you know what I'm going to do this weekend, Alan? I'm going to watch the Daytona 500 on Sunday. And on Valentine's Day, I'm going to spend the entire day. No, not going on a date with my girlfriend, nothing like that. I'm trying to figure out how the NBA can fix its tanking issue.
Well, I'm just going to spare myself and watch college basketball.
That's a good point. Hey, maybe you'll see Darren Peterson play. Maybe not. He tends to have some load management happening over there.
He's NBA ready.
He is NBA ready. Appreciate you for making us part of your morning. Have a great and safe weekend. We'll be back Monday, same time, same place here to break down everything that happened over the weekend. See ya.